Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Daily Word. It's Friday. We have reached the end of another week. Glad you could join me for our time together. It's a beautiful, crisp morning this morning. Makes you wonder if fall's not going to come really fast, but it's a beautiful morning this morning. So glad you could join me. A reminder that on Sunday, our worship is out in the shelter. And looking forward to that. And it looks like it's going to be okay weather. There's a little chance of rain, but I think we're going to be okay weather-wise. So come dress casually, please. Bring chairs. We'll have coffee and things outside. So plan to join us for our time together. We'll start at 10:15. If you watch via Facebook Live, we'll have cameras out there. I promise I'll do a better job than I did last time. I have the cameras a little farther away, and I'll take more than one out there to make sure we get a good view from those of you who watch via Facebook Live. So that's all happening on Sunday morning. And we're going to continue in the book of Hebrews, and we're going to talk about the great cloud of witnesses. And you might have seen me post that on Facebook, both on my personal page and on the church page. I'm looking for folks who you think, know, are in your cloud of witnesses, a name. People who've gone before us, who, as the scripture says, cheer us on, So if you have names, you could submit, or you can just tell me on Sunday. I'm going to have some pieces of paper when you arrive on Sunday, and you can write the name down. And we're going to kind of use that as a beginning point in worship on Sunday. So if you have names, you could submit them on Facebook. You can text me. You can email me, or you can hand them to me on Sunday, or write them on the little pieces of paper that I'll have available for you on Sunday. In keeping with that theme, and some of what we talked about Wednesday night when we gathered in the shelter, from Matthew 6, we hear these words: "No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You could not serve God and wealth." And so we talked about this Wednesday night just a bit, about the parable of the shrewd manager. And other versions have it as the dishonest manager, and what Jesus has to say. Now, let's remember, there's nothing wrong with having wealth. Money is not the enemy. Worldly success is not the adversary. Whether we're wealthy or whether we're not, the real danger is that what's often translated in this verse is the love of money. And it's a reminder to us that wealth becomes a problem if it becomes your master. But if it serves the gospel, then wealth can be a positive resource. It's the posture of our hearts and what we do with our wealth and the possession of our materials that's at fault when things seem to go awry. Now, I like to think about this, and I thought about this early this morning when I was waiting in the doctor's office. We have, in us, in this conversation, wealth, meaning money, and possessions. But I got to thinking about it in a deeper kind of way. We've been talking and have been hoping for some help around Advent. We are just desperately, I don't know if desperate's the right word, but desperately seeking folks to help us with children's church, to take the kids upstairs for those 20 minutes. And I believe that there's wealth in us. Knowledge, love, the ability to share that we're just holding on to. I don't know if we're afraid or what it is, but I'm going to talk about it Sunday. But the scripture says that, there's this great cloud of witnesses that cheer us on. But then there's this thing in us that we're leaving for our kids. And not just our kids, but the kids for us, specifically the kids of the church. And the wealth that we have. We have a bunch of kids who've been playing in the church parking lot, and I'd love them to do that. There's a little bit of damage, and we had to get the police involved yesterday. I really didn't want to do that, but it's gotten a little out of hand. So when I talked to the police officer, who was great, and how he handled it was superb, I'm committed to being in a relationship with these kids. Now, physically, it's going to be tough, but I'm committed to being in a relationship with these kids. What I'd really like to do, is like I used to do when I lived in the parsonage in Plattsville. We had a garage with a refrigerator in it full of juice and stuff that kids knew they were welcome to. I want to figure out how to do that here. But what I'm saying is that the scripture says to us, you can't serve God in wealth. We have in us the wealth, the knowledge, the love, the grace, the mercy, the peace, the ability to make a difference in the world. We have to constantly check what master we're serving, and what we're holding on to. I think in us, there's the knowledge that we can share with kids. We just need folks to say yes. I also believe, that there's enough wealth, money wealth, that if we took it upon ourselves to put it in the offering plate, or to say, here, Jim, here's a big container of juice, or here's a big container of snacks, or here's packages of hot dogs, because I'm committed to being in a relationship with these kids, whatever that looks like. We have the wealth. We have enough inside of us, to make a difference. We have to ask ourselves, as the scripture says, what are we serving? What is our wealth, which I think encompasses everything? How do we use that? How do we use our resources, all that we are, to serve God and serve others? The good news is that, today's a new day and tomorrow's a new day, and we have the ability to decide what we're going to do. Look, I'm above begging, just barely, but, I think if we look around ourselves, there's enough wealth. Money wealth, I think there's plenty if we're willing to give it. Time wealth, we have enough if we're willing. Love wealth, we have enough if we're willing. Taking kids to children's church, going to children's church with kids for 20 minutes. I give you what you need, all the resources. The kids don't need you to jump through hoops. They just need you to love them. We have enough. We have to decide who we're willing to serve and how it is that we're willing to make a difference in those around us. It's a question I have to ask myself as I figure out how I'm going to reach these kids. I want them to be on our side and not terrorize the building, if you will. I want them to be on our side. And the best way to do that is to love them with the wealth that I have. So I don't know. That's the word. Maybe I'm on my soapbox. You're going to hear more about it on Sunday. But think about what it is that we have and how we serve and use it to make a difference in the world. We lament all the time. The world used to be better. The world used to be friendlier. The world used to be neighborly. The world used to. Maybe it did. Maybe it's not, because you and I stopped being all of those things, and we need to capture that again. So that's the word for today. I hope it just speaks to us in a way that makes sense, and the way that we can use our wealth to make a difference in the world. Have a great weekend. It's going to be beautiful weather-wise, it looks like. Hope you're going to join us on Sunday morning at 10:15 in the shelter. It's going to be a beautiful Sunday morning. But in the meantime, know of God's love that surrounds you. Know of my love for all of you. And I will see you Sunday morning at 10:15, and then here again on Monday at 10 a.m.